Guramayagat Cancurla, and Minister, I have a substantive question to ask, but I have to say I'm a bit perplexed by your apparent lack of understanding with regard to just what happened across families and communities from Sunday night until Monday night, when the news broke, as you mentioned, at 9 o'clock that NPHET were proposing to move to level 5. The reaction, the briefing against NPHET that culminated in the outright attack by the Taoiseach on Monday night, that created a level of anxiety and frustration and concern that we haven't seen, in my view, since the outbreak of the virus itself. And that's why the questions are being put to you, Minister, by members of this House, is because members of this House are receiving those questions from constituents all week. And I think for you to diminish that or try to belittle or besmirch the motives of anyone that asks that, I think is unbecoming of you. I just want one question in that regard, and it's just for clarification, because you've answered a lot of the questions in fairness. But you've said that following from your conversation with the CMO on Sunday morning, where he suggested that there may be some mention of a level 4 scenario, that you spoke to the Taoiseach. Am I correct in saying that you conveyed that information to the Taoiseach? Because according to that NPHET were considering an escalation of the levels up to or including level 4. Because according to an Irish Independent journalist tweeting in the last while, Micheál Martins, the Taoiseach's spokesperson, told the Independent yesterday that the Taoiseach didn't know that the NPHET meeting on Sunday was about changing levels until afterwards.
Thank you, Deputy. So I'm going to refute various statements that you made. NPHET met on Sunday. I then met with the Chief Medical Officer, the Deputy Chief Medical Officer and the Secretary-General, and we discussed what was a very, very serious recommendation. NPHET then met with the Cabinet COVID Committee the next morning. Hang on, the next morning at 12 o'clock. And then the Cabinet met. And you have suggested that there was some attacking and negative briefing going on against NPHET during this period of time, which culminated in something else on Tuesday. That is simply untrue. I have, and the government has, a close working relationship with NPHET. Are we always going to agree with them? No. Your own party didn't agree with the move to level 5, right?
Can you answer it, Minister?
I am, but I am first of all refuting various false allegations you've made.
Ask you a question.
Right? I've answered the question repeatedly, Deputy. Yes, I spoke with the Chief Medical Officer on Sunday morning. We discussed the escalating epidemiological situation. The potential for a move to level 4 was raised. I emphasised my desire to see NPHET stick to the parameters within the framework, and the information about level 4 was conveyed to the Taoiseach. Yes.
That was the only information I asked you for. Ask one of your media monitors to go through the Twitter feed of political correspondence on Monday with regard to the statements from government sources in terms of their response to the NPHET recommendation of the evening before. It was an outright attack that I say was broadcast live to every home in the country that had the Clareborn programme on their television sets on Monday evening when the Taoiseach launched what was an unprecedented attack. The question I want to ask in relation to the substance, you know I've raised on a number of occasions the issue of meat plants and food processing factories. I have a huge concern. I actually have a doubt in my head that if we had handled it better, we might be in a different situation. Some testing has been taking place across meat plants. Last month, in September, across all the plants, 109 positive cases emerged from testing that took place in meat factories where everyone was asymptomatic. So that gives a sense and a semblance of the issues that could potentially be there. And we don't know how many cases emerged from factories that there weren't. The question I have is because I just have a fear that no government department is willing to take this on. And that fear is exacerbated by the fact that NPHET agreed on the 6th of August The interim recommendations of the investigation into a series of outbreaks of COVID-19 in meat processing plants in Ireland. I've been asking, the COVID-19 committee have been asking, and several other people have been asking for that report to be published since then. The COVID committee this week received a notification from the HSE that it still won't be published. Why not? And will you endeavour to ensure that that is published?
Please conclude on this matter.
Yes, Deputy. Yeah, not a problem. Maybe we'd engage after this session, and you can tell me exactly which report you're referring to, and I'll certainly endeavour to get it for you. There shouldn't be any issue with that whatsoever. The serial testing is going on in the meat processing plants, as you know, and happily, I guess, the positivity rate remains very, very low, and it is working and picking tests up. But you're absolutely right, because of the nature of this disease. There are a lot of people who can be at work and in higher risk places like meat processing, like direct provision, like the nursing homes, who are asymptomatic. They have absolutely no idea that they have it. And we're continuing with the serial testing for exactly that reason. And certainly, if there's any information you need and any ideas you want to discuss with me to make it safer, to make it better for the industry, for workers or any associated issues, let's sit down and go through them.